So let's just all take a minute and let's center ourselves. It's time to shift gears. Just take in 3 nice deep breaths, whatever works for you, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Go to your breathing stations and just take 3 nice long deep breaths. You too, Lori. Mother, Father, God, infinite creator, we thank you for this gathering. We thank you for this blessing of souls here this evening. We are here to help to open ourselves, to learn more, and to get closer to the other side, to learn how we can connect better with the other side. We ask that our guides and our teachers be close with us this evening. This is for them as much as it is for us. So in the Almighty's name we pray and say amen.
Amen.
And, all right. Am I too dark? Okay. All right, good deal. And maintenance wise, I'm just not a real technologically savvy, but I do have attachments, and I'm sure there's some way that I can attach them to the chat so it can be, everyone can get a copy. Okay, natural law class. I want to hear briefly from everybody why you're here. And we'll start with Kate. She's got her mouth full, so I'll start with I caught her.
That's fine. Well, I'm here because I'm in development class, mediumship development. So, and I want to get certified. And then down the road, whenever it happens, infinite intelligence willing, I'd like to eventually become ordained.
All right.
This is one of those classes that's required for that too.
Good deal. Lori.
Mostly I'm here to satisfy my curiosity. I take every class as it's offered if I haven't already had it.
Excellent.
This one I have not had yet.
All right, good deal. Anna Marie.
I'm going to have to stay probably the same as Miss Lori. So just a way to really strengthen my development class, my mediumship, and develop a stronger understanding of natural law. So I'm excited.
All right, good. Julie.
Just coming back and did classes and spiritual work. And I thought this would be a very good foundation to know as I go forward.
Yeah, you were just coming back before the pandemic hit.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
I was there.
Went for about a year with Jim and we were talking about it. And then we had a couple classes and everything shut down. And then I was real resistant to do this with Zoom. I thought, oh, it's just going to be a couple months.
Yeah.
So here we are.
All right. Very
Thanks.
good. Joyce, hi, your turn.
Hi, I'm thinking about moving into mediumship, so I'm just kind of firming up my foundation.
Good. Jason. You're on mute, Jason.
I guess I just have my idea of what I think natural law is and what its function is in my life. And I'm just kind of curious what others think about it in their lives, I suppose.
Okay. Tim, your turn.
Well, I was looking for some fun and I saw that you were going to be teaching this. So here I am. I guess I'm in the boat with everyone else. I guess I just like to learn.
Okay.
I'm on a spiritual journey, and it sounded like a fun time. So here I am.
All right. Party animal. Valinda.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, it's just very foundational to any spiritual path, really, no matter what you're studying and or what direction you're going. Yeah, and so I'm just grateful to learn.
All right, good. Shirley, are you there? Shirley, Jim, or Maddie? Any of you, are you around?
I'm here. I just can't come on camera right now.
Okay.
But I definitely, just for my own self growth, feel like I need a good foundation in my life, and felt like this was perfect for me right now.
All right. Good deal. We have a picture of Jim now.
I'm trying to stay incognito tonight. You're the teacher.
Yeah, but I still want to see your face.
Yes, but you know, for some people, the whole concept on natural law and being able to live it seems to be so easy. And my understanding is that if things aren't working out for me, there's probably something in natural law that I'm not paying attention to. And so I just found out before getting on here that besides $5,000 2 weeks ago on the car, that getting the Genesis fixed is going to be more expensive than we previously negotiated. And I'm saying there's something in here about the laws I'm missing about getting some abundance coming in my life here.
Okay.
So that's the immediate need. But I need a refresher.
Okay. All right. Good
Shirley
deal.
said a while ago she had a phone call she absolutely had to take.
Okay. All right.
So she may not be on there yet.
Okay.
Hoss, can I bump in a minute?
Hold it. We got Shirley.
Yeah, I just got back. Go ahead. Whoever was talking. Yeah.
Oh, just Kate, real quick. One thing that I also is that I love the principles. I really, as every time I read them, it seems like there's something that has more meaning to me. But I want to be able to really fit in when we talk about the natural laws.
Okay.
Obey. I mean, that's one of the things about the spiritualism that really, really grabbed me. So.
Okay. All right. All right. Shirley, we just a brief, what brings you here tonight?
Well, a couple of things. Initially is I would like to take every class I can because I learn from them. Also, I am more interested in finding out exactly what the concepts of spiritualism is, and if natural law is part of that and part of that belief system, then I'd like to understand that.
Okay. I will do my very best. I will say that this is an incredibly broad subject, and it could cover so many different areas. One thing about this, it's curious that this is on the associate minister's path for requirement for class. The information a lot of the information I'm going to be sharing with you have come from Rose Van den Enden and Constance Morningstar, who are mediums and authors, and they talk about how learning natural law is fundamental to be a medium. It's just like getting right into natural law, learning natural law when you are learning your medium, starting to learn your mediumship. So yeah, I thought I took the class. I thought it was a part of regular mediumship class, but it's not. But it's a basis for our mediumship work. Now think about natural law. It's a huge subject. Whatever you're thinking about it, have thought about it, just it's going to be bigger. Regardless of whatever the scope of our mind is and can comprehend, it's going to be bigger. Now, when you think about natural law, okay, natural law, that's nature. So we think about nature, what's on our planet, the flora, the fauna, everything that exists on our planet. That's nature. That's what's natural to our planet. Well, you could also say that another way to describe natural law is universal law. So we just made it a whole lot bigger. The laws that apply to our natural world, to nature, to us, they also apply to the universe, to the big picture. So there are universal laws. It's not just a natural law of the fittest or whatever. It's a universal law. Nothing's going to change it. Nothing's going to stop it. It's going to happen. And we're going to go through, let's see. I'm going to refer to notes a lot. One of the handouts you're going to get, I'm going to read a couple of instances about authors of what they say, what is natural law. And you will get this handout. This first one, what I'm reading from Rose is, I don't have a hard copy yet. What is natural law? Natural law is a set of rules which God has set in motion to govern all that has been created or is in being. That's kind of big. It is immutable, not capable of or susceptible to change. It is unchangeable. There is no instance in which God has set aside the law in response to any human appeal or suspended the law for any other reason. Just because we don't understand or recognize the law doesn't mean it isn't there. Likewise, when something happens that we can't understand, it is not a miracle. A miracle is something that has suspended natural law and caused it to be obedient to a command. A better definition of miracle is actions which respond to natural law but are not understood by us at this point in our evolution. Natural law brings order to the universe. There would be chaos without it. These laws operate on all planes of existence. Natural law is physical and spiritual. So you can say two classifications: physical natural laws, spiritual natural laws. Now, one thing I really, really want to impress before we go any further is don't get hung up on names. Somebody's going to ask, how many natural laws are there? Well, it depends on who you ask. And they're never going to be a wrong number. And some of them may sound very similar, and they could be the same thing or very close to it. So it's the intent that's behind it. It's just like when we're working on mediumship, don't get hung up on just the name, just open up to more. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, since I'm reading, I gotta change glasses. All right, let's see if I can make this work. Now, this is what Rose Vanden, I have brighter light. This is what Rose Vanden has to say. And the book that I'm reading out of is So You Want to Be a Medium. And Rose is a medium that studied at Camp Chesterfield, is friends with Mike and Susan. She's come to Progressive in the past and done seminars a long time ago, and just a really neat lady. Natural law comes from God, so it cannot in any way be flawed. The only flaws come from our misunderstandings concerning the laws. We are human beings, so we can only speak about things from our own levels of experience and comprehension. This means that sometimes our interpretations of the laws may not be as deep or as encompassing as they should be. We are all learning and growing. Each of us is personally responsible for learning about the laws and working with them in accordance with our understanding. Just as in society, ignoring the law doesn't mean that you don't have to live by it. Questions, comments? Just what you thought was going to be?
Hey, Haas, what you're reading, is that in your handouts or any of this?
Part of it is, yes. The
Okay.
first part was, the second part, I don't have a copy of it. I'm reading from Kindle.
Okay, thanks.
So, general discussion, anyone questions about natural law? I mean, just, it's going to be, as we evolve, think about it, as we grow personally, as we take personal growth steps, well, as we personally grow, there's spiritual growth in there too. And depending on how much we're allowing to let in depends on how much new information, new feeling, new things we're going to bring in. So it's personal growth, spiritual growth, natural growth, universal growth. One could cascade to another as we grow and as we learn. Make sense? Yes, no? Okay.
Yeah. Hey, Haas, so is karma, is that considered, or is that linked into natural law? We're going to talk about that.
Karma is, yes, it is. I believe so. It's think of the law of attraction. The energy we put out is the energy that comes back to us. And the law of karma that I know is about the energy that I put back out in the universe comes back to me tenfold. That's karma. It's very similar to the law of attraction, but it's all about whatever my deeds, actions, or thoughts are, whatever I'm putting out there, it's what's going to come back to me. That makes sense?
Yeah. So karma is sort of it's not a law on its own. It's just sort of an effect of other laws, like law of attraction. And
you could look at a lot of different lists, and you would very likely see on there law of karma.
Oh, okay.
It's just don't get hung up on the words. The list that I am working through, the books and things that I'm working out of specifically, I haven't run across law of karma, but in my world, karma is a natural law. So don't get hung up on names and specific words. And there is the law of thought and there's the law of mind. Well, what's the difference? Somebody says thought, somebody says mind. They call the same, very well as two different people calling two different names for the same thing. It could be construed as that. Or someone may have, in their own mind, they may have a very definitive definition of what things are, and they can extrapolate the difference between the two. But I'm not that person, and I'm not gonna go down that road.
Go down that road. But you probably don't want me to.
I'm not quite sure what that was, but that's okay. So the first thing that I want to natural. Any questions? This is the part about natural law in general. if you have any questions and all, because we're just going to go from here into different laws now.
Quick, I just had a question about like the concept of immutability with regard to natural law. You think there's like a, you think there's just constant change going on with natural law? Or, I mean, there can't be like this. Do you think God adds new natural law? I mean, natural law doesn't imply that natural law would be stagnant just because it's immutable, right? Just trying to.
It has a path that it is traveling, and no human intervention is going to be able to change that path.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say at some other time the path might change, and things have evolved to where something different needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Does that help?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
There's a fluidity in our understanding.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the way I understood what you just said, Haas. It almost sounded as though, I'll say 10,000 years ago, natural law may have been different than what natural law is in 2022. Is that not what you just said? Because it was on a different path.
But that would be based on their understanding, wouldn't it? Because it would be a much different understanding comparatively.
Yeah, I can understand. I can go with that. I could say that it has not yet been discovered by us or uncovered because our limited understanding of how the universe works, that we just sort of stumble upon, or we become enlightened to get a broader understanding of the natural law. But I thought with what Haas was saying, with it's taking a different path or something like that.
Well, I'm saying a different path.
misunderstanding?
I'm thinking in terms of evolution.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot change evolution. Things just naturally evolve.
Mm-hmm.
And so, maybe one path that had happened for a very, very long time, it had come to like, well, this path, this is no longer effective, and then it's time to do something different. But I can't comprehend how that would happen and with whom.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to say it's not going to happen.
So this is I'm certain. So if we go back 10,000 years ago for natural law, that natural law is the same natural law as in 2022. It's just that we have evolved, or we have changed, or understanding has changed, but natural law has never changed. Correct?
Correct. Natural law has continued.
Got it.
Yes. Yeah. And we learn the rules. Basically, that's what are the rules of natural law. Good deal. Any other questions? Okay. Where do I want to be? I'm going to start first one I'm going to start with, and it's not any that I've seen on the handouts briefly, but first law that I want to talk about is the law of love. Have you ever heard of the law of love as being a natural law? And also, anytime I say natural law, it can just as easily be universal law, because we're talking about the natural law of the universe. So that's vast. And Jean Picard just flew through my head for a second. All right. Law of love. So the law of love is about pure love. Pure, big love of all humanity, love of all nature. It's the lightness, it's the bright light that we talk about. It's not the love that people construe that has limitations, or there are conditions or restrictions. What's the outcome? Is there going to be, I'll do this for you if. It's not about that. From Rose, the most important natural law, the law of love, In these two aspects of love, loving God and loving humanity, including ourselves, we find the basis for all other laws of the universe. The love exemplified in this law, however, is the love in its purest form and most potent form. It is love without conditions and restrictions. It is love that purifies us by freeing us from jealousy, negativity, and revenge. It is transcendent and still attainable by all those who strive to achieve it. The law of love is the basic foundation for everything within natural law. Without love, we drift further away from the source of all, God, Creator, infinite intelligence. With love, we move even closer to that source, becoming more powerful than anything we can possibly imagine. Oh, Huey Lewis in the News just popped in, singing about the power of love.
It's very Buddhist.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. No restrictions, no conditions.
Mhm.
It's taking the ego out.
Yeah.
And we're going to get onto that. Any thoughts, questions here about law of love?
What did you say about we're purified by being freed of jealousy, something, and revenge? And I missed the second word.
Okay.
Out of Ruth's book.
It is love that purifies us by freeing us from jealousy, negativity, and revenge. Is that it? Okay. This is a line from Costanza's book. The foundation for mediumship is natural law. So that's how she starts things out. So that's, I think that's big. There is the law of free will, and that works on both sides of the veil. Things happen or don't happen. Just because we want to talk to somebody, we want to talk to Grandpa Fred, doesn't mean Grandpa Fred wants to talk to us. So he has free will, whether he talks to us or not. Just like we have free will, works on both sides, and it's one of those. It's a natural law that piggybacks off of others.
I was having a thought, Haas, there. If everything is spirit and mind, what do you think the distinction is then in physical law? I was thinking, do you think that physical law then is the component of spiritual law that we have the consciousness to manipulate or to connect with? Because yeah. So is that what you're saying? Physical law?
Well, again, this is where I don't want to get hung up on specific names. And as far as physical laws, the thing that popped into my mind first was the law of the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
We have no control over the law of the jungle. That would be considered a physical law. Now, when I look, hopefully next week I've got some things I want to get printed, but I've got to do a little bit of work with it. There is a list of, these are the physical laws, these are the spiritual laws, and every one on there could be argued. It could be which one's spiritual and which one's physical. It's just I don't want to get hung up on names because they could apply.
I guess what separates something from the spiritual world, that might be another way of what I'm trying to say. If the spiritual is everything, I think my natural, is to look at something in comparison to something else. And so I guess what I'm trying to understand is, what is the absence of the spiritual realm Is there such a thing? I mean, in any way, could it exist in any way? I mean, or is it just a distinction that we draw as a matter of what we perceive, right? The very basic level is I can take a hammer and hit a nail. Of course, very basic physical laws, and then of course traffic laws, which have physical consequences, or law of the jungle. But those are distinctions that have practical reality. They have a manifestation on reality, I suppose. But I've just tried to, when people make the distinction of what a physical law is in and of itself, regardless of what the actual law is they're trying to classify, is that what is that in relationship to spiritual law? I mean, is it a kind of spiritual law?
This is one of those times where it's like acceptance comes. The word acceptance, just accept. It's trying to comprehend something that is so vast that I can't comprehend it, but I'm trying to, like Kate said before, I'm trying to make it fit something that I can understand.
I think Jim has an answer.
I think I'm trying to simplify the question by using the law of gravity. The law of the jungle is too big for me to answer that question, but the law of gravity, and I'm trying to wrestle with the question you're asking using something that's pretty well simple and defined there. Now, gravity can be manipulated, but only according to other natural laws, such as we get out of our atmosphere. Gravity is there, but if we get out of our current living situation, there are other laws that affect the gravity. But gravity is still a law. It is universal. It's immutable in itself. But now you're asking a deeper question. If I'm understanding it, what's the spirit underneath the gravity?
Yeah, I mean, like in the sense is like is everything, every law then a classification with under spiritual law then, I suppose, like how's there anything separate? Is there anything that has equal magnitude, right?
I'm just going to say, I hear that we say nature's physical and spiritual laws. And
it's just, I guess what I'm saying is that the physical laws are just simply a subordinate component to the spiritual laws, perhaps. Okay, we'll just leave it at that. Maybe that's.
I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. For me, I separate the two there.
Yeah, I just do so too. All right,
well, it makes sense to me that physical law would be under the natural law or the natural law, spiritual law, because physical laws are things they're the things that can kind of be manipulated or changed, but you can't really manipulate natural law. It just like puts off the inevitable.
And I think, if I can remember that thought, it may have been gone already, maybe gone already. Never mind. Never mind.
I have a thought, but this is probably a wishy-washy answer. But I see where you're coming from with your mind, Jason, because you want to categorize and compartmentalize. You want to know where the boundaries are.
Both of you do.
Well, and I don't think it works that way. I think it's because if we're looking at this law of the mind, it encompasses everything. That's just like the whole universe. It's just there's no, you can't say what's the opposite of law of mind, because that's just nothingness. There's just everything is encompassing. So I think is some of these physical laws, are they part of, or are they a subset of this law of mind? I think it's just sort of like, you might be looking at an elephant. You're at the tail and you're looking at the tail, and I'm at the head and I'm looking at the head, and we're both describing what we think an elephant is. And you're saying, well, this elephant, I think an elephant is animal with this big tail on it.
It's the
And
old
I think, well,
Hindu proverb.
and
Yeah.
I'm looking at it from the trunk, but we're all describing the elephant. We're looking at it in different ways. I don't think it's really a matter of that that a physical law is outside of the spiritual law. I think it's just all combined. It's just a way of how you perceive things. I know that's a wishy-washy answer, but it's sort of they're
I think that's a good
interconnected.
answer, you know, I think perception is a huge part of it.
And I want to say, Jason, would you by chance ever overthink things?
Oh, never. I don't think I've
Never
ever-
overthink things.
I have another
It's like-
analogy that might work.
Go ahead.
Okay, and this is short, if spiritual law is like the subatomic particles and physical law is the things that are bigger that we can see.
Thank you.
The subatomic
that.
particles, if
I
you
like-
think about them, they change.
Yeah.
And then
yeah,
the desk,
yeah, yeah.
my desk doesn't change much just because I'm
Right.
thinking about it.
Right.
So I can see. So there.
Right.
Thank you.
Like a particle in a wave.
Can we go on to something else?
Yes, we can.
Do I get an A for a good answer?
Yes, yes,
thank
you
very
do.
much.
So now, separating from the law of mind, let's look a little bit at the law of thought, because the genesis of any of this is we change our lives by changing our thoughts.
Yes.
Nothing changes in our lives until we think, well, I'm going to do something differently. I want to make a change. So in order for me to make a change, I'm going to have to do something differently, because everything I'm doing now, the same thing, I'm getting the same result, and that's not working. So
it's when you make a conscious change, conscious choice.
when we want to make a change in our life, regardless of what it is, and I've said this before, and I know Susan has too in sermons, if we want to change our lives, we change the way we think. It's as simple as that. So, because when we change the way we think, then that will, okay, that's going to motivate me, and then I'm going to start doing something. We think first, then we do something. But we don't just automatically start doing something brand new. We have to think about it first. We might have to think about it for 5 or 6 years, and that's just me. But you know, sometimes nothing's going to change until we think. We have that thought, that inspiration, that epiphany, or just a simple thought. We have that thought, and it's like, that leads to the next step. And then that leads to action, and that leads to bringing something else in. So what I want to say or share about the law of thought, the law of thought states that thought is a powerful creative force. If a given thought is held long enough, it will eventually manifest in the physical realm. We're just talking about that. We think about it, we figure out how we want to do it, we make out a plan, and then it's like, okay, what's my next step? What's my next step? Okay. We changed our thinking to create something new. So now, in thinking in terms of spirit world, spirit world, they communicate via thought. It's just all thoughts. If they want to go somewhere, they think about it and they're there. Because spirit communication is through thought, you must accept your own thoughts are also fully visible, open, and accessible to the spirit people. That's a scary thought. There is no such thing as a private thought as far as they're concerned. Positive and encouraging energies lift your spirits and vibration. Negative thoughts lower your vibration. Sadly, a lot of us are in the habit of engaging in depressing and negative self-talk. This kind of talk can very much get in the way of connecting with spirit people. We talk about like attracting like. Well, if I'm going to be a medium and I'm going to connect with loved ones, I want to, the whole point we're going to get into the next is the law of vibration. This works right into the law of vibration. When we connect as mediums, we connect with spirit. And how do we do that? Well, we do that through the law of vibration. Spirit operates at a very high vibration rate. We're corporeal. We vibrate at a much lower rate. So when you've got somebody up here and you're like down here, well, the goal is to meet in the middle. Spirit needs to lower their vibration. We need to raise our vibration so we can communicate. Make sense? Somewhere there is a, I thought about this too late. There is a piece that's with the Mankind Project where they talk about everything being light energy. Everything is light energy. And that includes our thoughts, that includes our connection with spirit. And a light energy, we talk about white light. Well, as mediums, we want to have as light of energy as we can because we want to attract spirits that will talk to us that are of like mind or so. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. The law of vibration, this law governs mediumship. Talk to me about vibrations. How do we raise our vibration? What do we do? What can we do?
Meditate.
Bingo. Bingo. Okay, here we go. I've got law of vibration from Costanza Morningstar. Communication with people on earth and the people in the spirit world functions through the law of vibration. Everything in the universe exists in varying degrees of vibration or motion. The physical realm, by its dense and solid nature, is characterized by a low energy frequency. Energy frequency. Okay, let me say that again. The physical realm, by its dense and solid nature, is characterized by a low energy frequency called vibration than the spirit world. I don't understand that sentence. When the spirit people want to communicate through a medium, they have to lower their energy. Spirit people accomplish this by thinking about life on earth. As the medium, on the other hand, you have to raise your energy so that you can peek through the proverbial veil that separates the two worlds. You basically have to create a lighthearted, joyful, positive spiritual atmosphere inside yourself that helps you transcend the boundaries of the physical realm. It is easier to connect with the spirit world when life is stable and when you feel good about yourself because it places you in a naturally higher vibration. So we don't do readings for people when we're sick, when we don't feel right. We you know, depending on what our life and how hectic our lives are, it's, you know, a day of meetings and tests and all, then go home and then do a reading for somebody, that would be not what I would want to do. Because my energy is going to be down, and I want to have as much energy and the best energy that I can for whoever the sitter is going to be. Think about, just think about the weather itself. Think about this afternoon or tomorrow, walking outside, the sun's shining, and it's 50 degrees, it's warm, but just stepping outside in that sunshine, and then just like, it's instantly, I feel better. By walking out in that sun, in that light, my energy level itself has already raised just by my environment, by my surroundings, what's around me. I wasn't even trying.
Mhm.
Now think about a cloudy day, a gloomy day, a gray day. You know, it's gray outside, and just that color, that energy, for me is just like, think of Eeyore. Oh, bother. I don't know what's going to happen, but it'll happen to me. And that is the, you know, that's outside energy, but it affects our energy. So thinking about energy and like attracting like. We talk about our guides, our spirit guides, and our helpers, the people that we work with. I'm kind of jumping into the law of attraction here. I'll go back and look at some other things to see what I've missed. But think about your guides, the ones that you work with regularly, your joy guide, your protector, or what similarities do you have with your guides as far as personality, quirks? It's going to be more than likely that your guides have chosen you because there is something there in common, that you share something. You know, look at us, law of attraction. You know, we're all at a spiritualist church. We went to look for some place we went looking for a connection. We were looking for something, an attraction to be with like-minded people. You know, we are here right now because of the law of attraction. That's how we've met.
Do any of the people who talk about natural law define kind of the inverse of the law of attraction? It's like, because to me, it seems like the way life works is we all kind of randomly go wherever. And then when we're repelled by the things that we don't like, and then we all end up kind of, it's the misfits.
Well,
I'll end up in the same place. You know, like me, I was always the last kid chosen to be on the team in school, and then so all the nerdy kids end up knowing each other because we're the ones that don't get picked.
That may be true, and I will also say that every person here is a light worker, regardless of what has been going on in their life before, and very little likely everyone here is a light worker because of what they have attracted and what they have experienced in the past. And I'm not talking about just this life, I'm talking about others too, because it goes on and on and on. Like attracts like, that's us. Birds of a feather flock together. Law of attraction. Positive thinking. When Oh my gosh, think about a job that you have hated because of the energy of the people that you have been around, and that just they're so depressing, and just I don't want to go to work because of all of this toxic behavior. Anybody ever been in that kind of situation before? Anna Marie is going, oh no, never. And at some point it's like, okay, this doesn't work for me. It's time to look for something new. And so what am I going to be attracted to? And the attraction is going to be going to more positive people, more positive thinking people, more like-minded people. It may take a little bit of time, but it works. Feel free to say anything about the law of attraction. I'm going to read this briefly. The same is true with spirit people. If you are a kind person with integrity who tries to have a healthy and conscious life, hold it here. If you are a kind person with integrity who tries to live a healthy and conscious life, devious, mischievous, and malicious spirit people of the lower astral realms won't find you attractive. Your spiritual energy would not be a match to them, so they're not going to be interested in you. So I forgot to preface that. It's like, well, what about attracting negative energy? Well, and it could be, in some people, one of the first things starting out in classes doing mediumship is like, well, how do I know if this spirit that I'm talking to is a good person or not, or a good spirit? You're a good witch or a bad witch? How do I know that? And one thing we've learned very quickly, the question is to ask whoever the spirit is, are you of the light? And you say that and you get nothing, and they go away because they don't want to be around somebody that is of the light. There's nothing there for them. Makes sense?
Somewhat of an exception to that. If you're generally a nice person and then you have, for whatever reason, stuff happens in your life and you're depressed, then all those lower spirits still come to you and say, hey, you're my kind now, and I'm going to hang around with you, and they make it worse.
Well,
So then you have to consciously bring yourself out of that, and so they won't want to be around you anymore.
I'm not sure where the law is here, but there's one thing in here, just one thing to remember. Always remember, the medium is always in charge. When people say, oh, spirit wakes me up every hour all the time. Well, tell spirit not to. The medium's always in charge.
I was thinking more in terms of spirit attachments, because at that point, the medium's in charge, but not aware of.
Okay. Well,
So
actually,
that's hard.
well, actually, I have that. What happens about an influencing spirits attached to a person? The influencing spirit is attached to a person with such habits so he or she can vicariously re-experience thrills of the physical life. So like attracts like. A spirit attaches to you because of your thoughts and of your energy, because hey, here's what they're doing. I love doing that before. So they're going to attach, and they're not going to leave until you tell them not to. Now, Your best protection against negative spiritual influences is to be a person of integrity. Build your own spiritual foundation and follow the guidelines presented in this book. Abstain from drug use. Don't hang out in places where people use and inebriate. Treat yourself with kindness and respect. It was in the other book I was reading about where people had spiritual attachments, but she had 4 exceptions that were people that had spiritual attachments, but they didn't want to get rid of them because they liked being a victim. They liked what they were getting out of it, out of having the spiritual attachment. And that's free will. They're making that choice. That's the choice of free will. But does that help, Lori?
And now I'm trying to wrap my mind around why anyone would want a spirit attachment. Are you that lonely?
Well, I think it was in Rose's book, but she said she had 4 exceptions, and bad things always happened to this one person, and she loved all the misery or the people consoling her. Oh, honey, it's okay. They liked being the victim.
There was secondary gain.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So that was in Morningstar's book. And like one of them didn't want to continue in healing because they would lose their disability payments. So they were attached to spirit that promoted disability.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were the other 3 examples too, but I can't find them right now.
Yeah,
That's a very real example.
But that's free will.
Mm-hmm.
Free will, the law of attraction, the law of vibration, lower energy, connecting with lower energy.
I'm liking the Morningstar book. It's very easy to read, as Jim said it would be. It's very casual. I feel when I'm reading the book, it's just like I'm having a conversation with one of you or someone who's just a little bit more experienced, but just kind of a friend. It's very chatty. It's very conversational. It's not like textbook and
right.
A lot of heavy stuff. It's a nice conversational kind of book that so far as I've gotten in.
Yeah, and she gives really good exercises and things to do.
Yeah. I haven't done those yet, but I looked through them. I want to.
So You Want to Be a Medium by Rose is also a very easy read, and it's very personable, and it's very clear. Anybody that has spent any time around Susan and Mike and Progressive here and have been in classes, they're going to be reading in print. It's like, oh, this is what so-and-so said in class. It's very clear that she is Chesterfield trained, and I've been trained by somebody from Chesterfield.
Mm-hmm.
And there are names in there that I recognize, and Mike and Susan are even mentioned in the book and acknowledgments and things. And she talks about mediums she's worked with at Chesterfield that I've met before. So it's very conversational. It's a good read also.
Haas, is it okay if I say a couple of things?
Sure.
Okay. I think it was Kate that mentioned a while ago about some of the differences in the books, and then you've been saying it too. One of the reasons for that is about copyright. If you take 2 charts for reflexology, that's different points on the feet affecting the different parts of the body, and you go from one book to another and you find the charts don't match. Why? Because of copyright. They have to change the diagram just a little bit so they're not breaking a law there. In class, I also talk about the difference between national and the independent spiritualist churches like we are. We used to be part of national. There's not a lot of difference. Part of it comes organizationally, that if we belong to national, we would have to give the deed of the church to the national organization. We don't want to do that. So we dropped out of the national organization. And second, they're trying to keep mediumship extremely pure and eliminate the possibility of cheating as much as possible. So it has to be clairaudience, clairvoyance, the other clairs. It cannot be use of cards or, especially cards or palms or other things that you might want to do reading with. Yeah, the tools.
Using
Thank
tools.
you. Yeah, that's the big deal on there.
The last law that I want to cover tonight, it's the law of cause and effect. What is that, you say? For every action, whether it's good or bad, it produces a reaction.
Good old Newton.
You ever haven't heard that before, I'm sure. That's the law of cause and effect. We reap what we sow. You could almost put in there law of cause and effect. The result of that could be the law of karma, because here's what I've done, and boy, this is what I got back. That they don't get hung up on the names. They can be interchangeable. And the law of cause and effect too, that's really very important, especially with our mediumship, because how much energy, how much we put into our studies is going to determine the results that we get. Okay, I want to be a really good medium. So what's it going to take for me to be a really good medium? Well, it would be best if I meditated every day and kept that spirit connection, and I take care of my body. I walk. I'm healthy. Just I want to be a better medium. But in reality, I want to do all these things. But do I meditate? Nah, I haven't meditated in so long. Do I eat what I'm supposed to? No, I don't. But I still want to be a good medium. The energy and the effort, the actions that I put into it there's going to be a reaction coming back. And if I don't put squat into it, I'm not going to get squat back. And hold it. Maybe if I take responsibility for my actions, I'm not doing this. So if I do something different, maybe I'll get a different reaction. Kindle time.
Hey, Hoss.
Hey, Tim.
Kate referred to Newton's third law, which states that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Is that cause and effect? Are you saying that for every action, there's an equal and opposite? Or are you just saying there is a reaction?
I'm not saying equal. I'm just saying for every action, good or bad, there's going to be a reaction, good or bad.
In this case, Newton would not apply. I was just being a smart ass. That's all.
Oh, I didn't know you were a smart ass.
Personally, I would avoid the word reaction. The word is effect. It has whatever we do, say, think, has an effect.
Correct. Cause and effect, action and reaction. Action and appropriate response. If our lives are not what we would like them to be, we have the power to change them by changing what we are doing to create our circumstances. We don't blame anybody else for the issues that I'm having. Oh, I get to be a victim. If our lives are not what we would like them to be, we have the power to change them by changing what we are doing to create our circumstances. And that's a very hard concept for a lot of people to understand. Well, because of creating my own circumstances, well, I'm just, this stuff just happens to me. Well, dig into it a little bit. Stuff just doesn't happen, but stuff just happens to victims, as an instance. The law of cause and effect is an important one in mediumship because it reinforces how important it is to do our work in the world with love and compassion. There's no point in doing this work if we're not coming from a place of love. Setting our intentions before we do any type of work is essential to reaping positive benefits from our actions. If we work in love and ask that our work be blessed, then we will only affect our clients, ourselves, and our world in positive ways. It is important, whether we are professional readers, construction workers, garbage collectors, parents, or anything else, remember, natural law is about bringing us closer to divinity. And to do that, we must live in love. All else separates us from God. So we've kind of gone down a little path, if you will. When we starting out with the law of love, and then we go to the law of mind, where it talks about everything is all thought and in energy. And then we go to the law of vibration, where we get into that energy and we learn about it and learn about low and high energy. And then we go to the law of attraction. With that energy that we put out, what are we bringing back? And then from the law of attraction, going to cause and effect. Okay, and here are these are my actions, and these are the results of my actions. So there's kind of a string for all of it. I'm open to comments right now.
When my kids were young, I used to explain this to them. I used to tell them that their thoughts and their choices were like Legos. Every time they have a thought, every time they choose to do something or not to do something, they're building their lives with those Legos. They were about 9 and 10 years old at the time. They looked at me and went, "Oh no."
That's a great analogy, though.
That's a wonderful analogy. Yes.
They looked scared, and I said, "Hey, they're your Legos. You make them."
Okay, somebody else. What's thoughts in general? Shirley, what do you look pensive?
Well, I've had about 79 thoughts. It's I was thinking this cause and effect, that there are lots of situations where, okay, because let me back up. So cause and effect, like I drop a can of peas on my foot. Ow. The effect is it's going to hurt. Okay. I meet somebody on the street, and for whatever reason, they decide to scream and yell and holler at me. And I don't respond, and I leave. So the effect is only what I allow it to be on me, that I get did I get upset internally? The effect on the other person is something entirely different.
And that's something you have absolutely no control over.
That's right. However, I could have engaged in, it takes two to argue. I could have engaged. And that would have had a whole completely other, possibly negative effect. So that's kind of what I was thinking about, was cause and effect. Like Lori's saying about with the Legos, it's that cause and effect. If you put the wrong thing into plug the Lego in wrong, it's going to collapse. So it's kind of the same thing with you choosing to engage in certain situations, or not to choose, or to choose not to, rather.
Oh boy, have I got a story for that. This happened to me not too long ago, and it's something that I will choose to never ever do again. Oh boy. Driving off of Dean Road, turn on to 65th Street. And it's a kind of a hilly road. It's double lines. There's no passing. A car turns going my direction and just speeds up and goes around me. Just makes it illegal. It's illegal. He goes around me. And as he does, I just give him the finger as he drives by. Well, he saw it. He saw me give the finger. He stopped his car right in front of me, got out of his car and started yelling and screaming and just like, no. And I'm just laughing. I'm sitting there. I'm just kind of looking at him. I'm in awe. And I'm kind of chuckling too. It's like, dude, you're the one that did the illegal turn.
Yeah.
But it's my fault. But I've learned. And then he got in his car and he drove away. So there was nothing ever after that. There was no guns appeared or anything. But I will never ever give anybody a finger again.
Well,
because that certainly is not coming out of love. But it just like, damn it. Yeah, just like, I'm being human right now.
But that's also when you decide you want to do that, you do it where they can't see you do it. You don't put it up in the window.
Well, I guess I could do that, but what's the point of doing that if they can't see it? But I've learned, it's like, well, I thought it was a crapshoot whether he saw it or not, but boy, he did. So cause and effect.
Yeah. I have an example, and it's gonna. Well, I'm just gonna give you the example. I'm not gonna. Okay. When my son was ill, we had a caseworker come to the house occasionally, check up on his medical condition. And so the last time I saw her, when she came and she said something about, how's he doing? And, when can we schedule to come back again? And I basically told her that probably we're never going to see her again because he's terminal. And she looked at me and said, yeah, that's the bad thing about my job. So many people die. And I looked at her and I thought to myself, I have two options. I can jump up and say, get the fuck out of my house, you stupid bitch.
Yeah.
How dare you say that out loud?
Yeah.
Okay. Or I sat there and looked at her and I thought, you poor thing, you have absolutely no idea what you just said.
Yeah.
And I just let it go. Now, I'm thinking to myself after that, that was the grace of God saying to me, don't get into it. you got enough problems. You got enough problems without that. But that's cause and effect par excellence. I think about that often when I think about, what am I going to do, kind of a thing. So it's always a choice.
And that's one of the biggest lessons that I think we humans have to learn, that everything is a choice, and not doing something is just as much of a choice as doing something.
Yeah, and I gotta say, there's lots of times when I did jump up and yell and scream at people. So it's just sometimes you get that grace that says, "Don't go there."
Yeah, and that, yeah, I would follow that with a thank you very much.
Yeah.
So,
And people are oftentimes thoughtless, and they don't necessarily mean it.
Just a thought on some of those laws there. Because I was thinking about the way shower. Did he give us some natural laws, spiritual laws? And there was one that just really gets to me that I think would be, and that is the measure you use against another person is the same measure that will be used to you.
Yeah.
Do unto others.
Yeah.
One of the handouts that you have, actually there are two of them. On the handout that says what is natural law, the second part of it, it has the golden rule in various spiritual traditions. Hurt not others in ways that you yourself would find hurtful. That's Buddhist. Never impose on others what you would not choose for yourself, Confucius. Regard your neighbor's gain as your own gain, your neighbor's loss as your own loss, from Lao Tzu. So, you have that. And then there is the first handout is called 15 Great Principles Shared by All Religions. And it talks about the golden rule, honoring father and mother, speaking the truth. So they bring together how the universality. Yeah, I don't know I've ever said that word, universality. Anyway, it brings us the universe in another way. Brings religions into the universal spectrum. Okay.
Hoss, I notice, I think everyone on here is aware about taking the test or not taking the test, and has heard that the advantage of taking the test on this is that if you ever change your mind in the future about being an associate minister or minister, by taking the test now, you don't have to take the class again.
That's a very good point. Yes.
So I encourage people to take it, even if they don't think they'll ever be an associate minister.
Yeah. The test will be distributed next week. You'll get that for sure. I want to say there are 7 questions on it. And we will have covered everything, or it could be in some of the handouts or in our discussions. So, but yeah.
Is there an essay?
Well, I'll tell you, the first question is, what is natural law? So you make out of it what, you make out of it what you want. There is that one handout too. So this is what natural law is. So you got details, you got items for it. So.
And you don't have to pay to take the test, so it's free.
No, you don't have to pay to take.
So there's no reason while not to not do it unless you just don't have time, I guess.
Yep. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Jim. Yeah, if for any reason you think maybe later, go ahead and do the test, and then we'll have it on file, and you won't have to go through all of this again. So, anybody have anything else?
Just thank you very much.
Very
Hoss.
nice. Thank you very much, Haas.
Well, thank you. I
Thanks, Hoss.
hope it's been informational and enjoyable, and there's more next week. I just had the thought, I'm going to ask somebody else to pray us out here. I want to go to Anna Marie. Would you be open to saying a closing prayer for us tonight?
Or,
And no is an okay answer too. So
all right, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Let's assume an attitude of gratitude. Mother, Father, great infinite spirit who is constantly watching over us and always around us and within us. We thank you for bringing us together to learn and discern and build community and build our understanding of the gifts that you have so graciously delivered to us in so many ways. We thank you for that. We ask now that we close the veils so we will be ready again the next time when we can come together as family and friends to continue this journey of spiritualism and mediumship, and most importantly, of living under your grace. So with that, I say thank you, and amen.
amen.